Good evening, and welcome to the workshop of the Select Board. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and then I'm going to ask if anyone would mind if I moved up the business we didn't finish last time with the policies and procedure of the Select Board. Any recommendations you guys might have? And we can go down through it if no one has any objection. We'll just go one thing at a time, and if there's no one that has anything to say about them, we can move right through. All right, hearing no objections, that's what we'll do. The scope, purpose and scope. Anyone had anything there that should be changed, or at least considered to be changed? Hearing none?
No.
Number 2, parliamentary authority, which is Robert's Rule of Order.
Good.
No, that's a simple one.
Loosely interpreted, right?
Right, as guidelines. 3, officers and their duties. All right, we'll move to the next one. Chairman's privileges. Hearing nothing, we'll keep moving. Seating arrangement. Number 6, attendance. And I'm sorry I didn't say this when this started. Sam has had his back operation and will not be attending. I should have mentioned that in the very beginning. I should have called for the quorum, but I just want to keep moving stuff ahead. So Sam won't be. He's going to be Zooming in to at least a board meeting, but he's not even driving after his back operation. So, and actually I put Sam's note under attendance, so I almost got it. All right, attendance. The only thing I have here is attendance shall be, under number 6, attendance shall be defined as present physically. Now, in the past, we have had I consider past practice where anyone that couldn't be here and had a legitimate excuse not to be here, either get here physically sick or whatever, we've allowed them to Zoom in and consider that in attendance. Do we want to amend that at this point so that there's no doubt about it moving forward?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Chris.
My feeling is that if somebody has to Zoom in, that they should clear it with the chair prior to the meeting.
They do have to do that. And
So that's my only concern. If they're doing that, if it's in the policy, I'm okay with it.
well, they have to, it says attendance is expected except when a board member notifies the chair prior to the meeting. This is now saying they have to be here physically. And the question I would have is voting. I mean, it's important that we have the vote. And if you have a clause in here that says they have to be here, they can watch by Zoom, obviously, but I think it should say that they're allowed to vote too. It has in the past. We've watched it.
Yeah, you can vote on Zoom, just not,
So do
you
we?
can't go to executive session.
Right. So I'm
You
just saying.
can't vote anything on executive session anyway, so it doesn't much matter.
Well, I think we should make it clear that we'd be striking out maybe the 2 sentences.
The whole attendance shall be defined? And just
As present physically, no written or electronic means will be considered attendance. I mean, they're saying Skype, telephone, text messages, emails. I mean, obviously, you're not going to be present during an email.
Right, but it doesn't address voting. And so if you're not, if it's saying, you have to be here physically to be considered attending should we just move up to the other one where it says attendance is expected when a board member notifies, except when the board member notifies the chair prior to the meeting and shall be allowed to vote by Zoom? Just add it there and drop the rest of it? Because it's a 5-member
That
vote.
would be clearer.
Is that where we put it?
You okay with that?
Sure.
All right, and then scratch the other 2?
Yep.
Meetings. This one, it says that the chair or upon request of majority of the board provided, however, that basically it's talking about special meetings to be called at the discretion of the chair or upon the request of majority of the board, provided, however, notice therein shall be given to each member at least 24 hours in advance whenever possible, and that no business may be conducted other than that notice. Derek and I missed a meeting because it was emailed to us on a Friday night, and I think we ought to add in here, including texting, because that's one thing that you have. Most people have a phone, and we've had occasions where special meetings have been called on a Monday or Tuesday, and the notice you get is on a Friday night or a Friday afternoon. And so the only thing I'd like you to do, and we don't have to do this tonight, I'm just saying, I think in another place it says that all means possible be notified. I'm just trying to simplify and say through email or texting.
Can we say confirmed contact?
I like that even better.
It works.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because, I mean, you can say, well, I'm sorry, I'm not available, but at least you've confirmed that they have been reached and they've been notified.
It's pretty easy nowadays.
Yes, I like that. I like that much
So
better.
confirmed contact, and we don't need to
Yes.
specify and lay that out.
No, but I do like it because if I'm calling it, or you, two people or three people want to call it, we all get notified, and you know whether people are going to show up or not. That works for me. That works good. Okay, I like this. We're moving right along. Now, the next thing that's interesting is fiscal warrants are still in this under the 7 meetings. If you were to look at it, it says call to order, minutes of previous, new business, old unfinished business, town manager's report, which I like in that order. This is a bylaw. I'm not looking to change that. Fiscal warrants. Right now, that changed. I don't know when it changed, to be honest with you, but we've been doing the warrants through the email, and sometimes it's just 2 of us for salaries, and other times it has to be 3 of us. So do we strike this? Or put in warrants if for some reason the internet goes down? Or, I mean, how do we cover that? Just scratch it out?
Well, you can go into the office and sign warrants.
Right, but right now it says it's part of our quorum. It's part of our agenda.
It's a little antiquated.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
not something
saying
we do anymore.
we stopped doing it. I didn't stop doing it, but it's been stopped a few years back. So if we're not doing it, let's take it out so the bylaws reflect it, and then worry about it if it turns into a problem, because it hasn't yet. So I'm going to just put omit.
I know we've also, Dennis, talked about executive sessions sometimes occurring first, depending on if we need a lawyer or not, so they're not on standby time. So kind of having this strict, rigid.
That's exactly right. One of the things we talked about was to try to lower the lawyer fees. We've watched them sitting and watching us during a meeting, and then sometimes watching the video through Zoom, and we can put executive sessions at the end.
Well,
Or separate costs for it.
I don't know if we need to address it, because the chair has the option of moving it ahead
That's true.
at your discretion,
That's
which
true.
I think is fine.
Okay.
Well,
And then in your absence, it would be the vice chair.
Okay, that's a good point. We can, if we wanted to add something with flexibility of moving forward to
I
accommodate.
don't know that you need to do that.
Okay. Derek?
I don't think it needs to be changed.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
good point.
All right. So, now, what we don't have here that we do a lot of every meeting is have public comment come in at the end and then select board comment. We probably ought to just put those 2 things in right below scratching out fiscal warrants, so it stays consistent with what we do on the agenda. That's an easy change.
Yeah.
Any objection?
I have no objections.
Okay. Section 8, special meetings. Yeah,
I mean, I don't really have a problem with special meetings in the way that this is laid out, but I think that there is a difference between a special meeting and an emergency meeting.
well, this one says they will be all meetings regularly scheduled, which is considered a special meeting, right?
Right, I just don't think we address emergency meetings at all in here.
Well, let's see, what's the difference when you read it? All meetings other than regularly scheduled meetings, which is our monthly meeting, shall be considered a special meeting, instead of calling it an emergency meeting.
So that encompasses any kind of meeting.
Right. I think this covers special.
And emergency.
Yeah, an emergency meeting is special, that's for sure.
I don't think you need to change that.
Well, we can put a / emergency meeting, but it's basically saying they're considered special meetings instead of emergency. I don't know. Derek?
Hold on, I'm still trying to get this one up.
Okay,
Wanna look at that?
we can look at the next thing too while you're thinking even about that, because I'm not sure we have to change that, but every reasonable effort must be made to notify selectmen in advance of a special meeting.
I think my idea is that I just want to make sure that we are laying out some ground rules regarding emergency meetings and calling them only when really absolutely necessary.
I like that idea, that I do like.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
That I just want to make sure that we're understanding the difference between, a special meeting, saying we've planned to have a special meeting in addition, right?
Right.
And there's a big difference between a special meeting, to me, and an emergency meeting. And I think that
It is.
we don't want, I just think there's very little, often in municipal business, I'm not sure that there's much need to have emergency meetings. And I think that should be clearly defined so that it's not overused when it's not necessary. Does that make sense?
Can you guys think of an example of an emergency meeting?
Well, I've been to a couple that I didn't think was an emergency, but without getting into it.
Let's find an example of what is an emergency meeting.
Well, we had an emergency meeting to appoint interim town managers twice,
Well, how about we had a,
when it could have been, with a 30-day advance notice of someone resigning, we could have done that at a regular meeting.
I think we should avoid emergency meetings
I agree.
at all costs.
I agree.
So maybe somewhat describing what an emergency is.
Wasn't there one somewhat recently where we had to appropriate funds very quickly, or we would lose? I thought that's, for some reason, that rings a
I
bell.
think I know what
No,
you're
I think-
talking
But that's a
about.
special town meeting.
We did one for...
No, there was an emergency meeting for something in the last year or so over the appropriation of funds, I thought.
We did one for the small building because we had...
Yes, but that was a town
because-
meeting.
Right, but we had to get that in, and the reason for the emergency, I guess, to make it, is just to speed it up, to get it there faster, because it needed to get in the paper in the appropriate time frame.
Well, we could, that's a good way to say it, too. If the emergency meeting should be called only when there's not a reasonable time period, like a week notice is what they asked for. Anything that can be done within a week's notice of the public should be just a regular special meeting. If it's something like that where we had to call, but that was a special town meeting, but either way, we're just looking to clarify it, so.
Can I just ask a process
Yeah.
question? We're going to look at this. We're going to have town staff write up our changes, and then we will
Yes.
approve this at a following
That's
meeting,
right.
correct? Can I suggest that staff list out maybe what they think would be appropriate reasons for a
I like that.
emergency meeting? Because they are more apt to understand like a situation in which
Why
we
they need
truly would
Well,
need
that's
to
right.
have an emergency meeting.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. I think you would know. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so Robert, it says requiring,
It's like an urgent matter requiring immediate action that couldn't have been foreseen. It's kind of how they're labeling an emergency meeting. Whereas I think a special meeting is something that,
I like that terminology.
does that make sense?
I think we should list out
Still-
a few example
Yeah.
reasons though, so that we,
Well, that certainly should be one of them we put in there, because as they look at it, they're going to know. And
Yeah.
by far, staff is going to know when there's a problem before we will.
so include that definition, but also here are examples of, I'm
Okay.
just trying to think of like something happens and it needs immediate attention. It
And-
has to have it.
Pandemic.
Yeah, natural disaster,
I was thinking
pandemic, like
too.
COVID-19, like, right? Like, we all of a sudden have to have an emergency meeting because we have to change things. I mean, I think there are reasons to necessitate a emergency meeting, but I think we should clearly define that so that those are not,
I'm
So
not
that they're used
opposed to putting
appropriately.
examples in there. I think it's a good idea, but, but I think Joe's reading said something that's unforeseen, and you gave two
anything is
examples.
unforeseen.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, I think the point is we want to
Yeah,
avoid them.
That's right.
And if there's proper planning ahead, we won't have to have one unless, like Peter's comment of emergency, like a natural disaster.
Weather event.
Storm or COVID type thing or something where we're not prepared and you have to quickly gather yourself, that's an emergency. But I don't see having a special meeting. I think there's a difference, a big difference.
I'm all for less special meetings and even less executive sessions.
Well, I'd like to see some, proposed language around that.
Okay, I think that's fair to ask the staff to,
And that makes it more transparent, and that's what we want to do.
again, this is just something that we're updating, and it's a time, it's come a time.
Maybe we add, a little bit to, or we create our own section for emergency meetings, because there is a clear difference between the two.
And I even said what constitutes a special meeting, that's a question I had, so,
And Kayla's point to take it to staff,
Yes.
after staff, it should go to legal before we vote on it,
Okay.
to get their thoughts as well.
any more comments on number 8? Number 9, meeting to execute documents. I thought this was kind of confusing at the end, the way it reads. If logistics requires selectmen to execute a document, approve a warrant, or sign an order outside of the time of a regularly scheduled special meeting, another meeting does not have to be called, providing an approved order exists from a properly noticed public proceeding and record of that proceeding reflects the actual execution will occur outside the meeting. I mean, that's a lot of verbiage and I mean, it sounds like you have to get a warrant in advance so that the public knows, and because it says, providing an approved order exists. It just was confusing to me, and I don't have the answer to how to do it. Providing an approved order exists from a properly noticed public proceeding, and record of the proceeding reflects the actual execution.
I think what they're referring to is if we have the authority based on our warrants that we can execute something, then we can. Like at our town meeting, we have a certain authority to do certain things.
Well, I know we've, as a board, has authorized the town manager to sign for us and do things like that at a public meeting. Maybe that's as simple as
Yeah.
that it has to be. Other than that, and I was confused, so if you guys don't have any recommendations.
I think we'd leave it alone.
I wouldn't touch it.
Yep, okay. Executive sessions.
I think that's pretty clear, cut and dry. You got to go by state law.
Yeah, you don't really want to mess with that one.
Yes. It's interesting. It says that the nature of the business to be discussed must be a part of the motion, not just the number, not just the state statute that allows you to go into it. But you have to be very careful because of sensitive information. So that's a tricky thing. But again, I don't want to go to, I hope we don't do a lot of executive sessions anyway. Anyway, other than that, I didn't hear anyone. All matters, let's see.
Public to address the board, 11? Is that what you're?
Well, yeah, no, I was looking at this other one I underlined.
Oh, back at the executive session?
Yeah, on the back side of it. No, it says no official action shall be finally approved at an executive session. That's,
Yeah, you have to come out of
yeah,
executive session. to
right,
vote.
for anything. Public address. There may be some things that, I think this is well-written overall, but there may be things that, like a sponsor from the public comes up to speak on something they'd like us to deal with. With a town manager or whatnot. So I think I'm just going to try as chair to kind of get the handle on this so that I'm not making little mistakes by simply being ignorant of it. but there's a lot to this one.
There is a lot.
There's
to
more
that one.
verbiage to this than there is anything
It
else.
actually talks about our behavior
Yes,
and how we speak to the public.
exactly. That, I think we've been pretty good with this board. And any comment by the public shall be limited to the expression of opinions or concerns regarding the item. That means you state the topic, period.
Right, that's
Yeah.
that and time frame need to be probably more addressed during the meetings, because some things will tend to fly off topic and make the meetings go longer and longer and longer and
And
people will get up and go.
And I've watched this ever since I was fire chief, and I really haven't seen a point where the complaints or allegation from the public have really been personal towards staff, or, I mean, a little bit with the select board, but, you know. So I don't see a lot of change there. I thought it was well-written, just a lot of verbiage. And then the work session we're actually in, and it's really for purposes of disseminating information for the board, enlightenment and evaluation, and discuss or refine future agenda items, which is what we're going to do next after this.
Right.
So, anyone got anything on that? Here's one thing that's interesting on the back page. I should turn the page before I ask. It says, members of the public are invited to attend the work session, but will not be allowed to participate in the workshop, while we're doing this. That's the way I read this. But prior to adjourning any workshop session, the board will provide time for members of the public to address the session, to provide information relevant, or to ask questions for clarification, basically. So I've been at workshops. I saw one at the Public Works building where they said it's not for public comments, and yet they were zoomed in. So I'm just pointing this out because I really thought we could close it off to the public myself, as I've seen it in the past. So they're basically
The
saying,
workshop yesterday had public comment.
yeah, I mean, the one I watched, I didn't watch that one yesterday, but the first one, and it's okay. I'm not pointing this figure. I just thought that we did it. I've seen workshops that were discussing it. You have to wait until afterwards. I
You have
just
to
read
wait.
the
You have to
reason.
wait.
And then in that, if Roberts basically says that at a workshop, that there can be a motion made, and if the majority of the board says that.
Allow someone,
they will
yes,
allow someone
yes.
to speak, then they
Yes.
can speak.
Good
So I was
point.
raising my
Yep.
hand to see if you wanted to make a motion.
Well, I think what this is going to be is this is relative to allowing conversation and not saying we're closed work sessions.
I think the intent is that we stay on task.
Yes.
We don't interact with the public until after the meeting. On occasion, if there's a simple question or answer, I don't think that's a problem. Because we're using Robert's rules loosely, not right to the letter of the law.
And a person can go and ask for a point of clarification at any time.
Absolutely.
If we're actually discussing something that might be wrong, or to clarify something for us. So
What do your bylaws say about Roberts?
to use those as the, that was the first thing we skipped over, you know, the parliamentary authority. So the reason I underline this is because I've seen public comments not allowed. So no formal vote will be taken. I don't think we've
Right,
done
but
that.
this is the bylaws of the select board.
Yes.
Right.
And this isn't all the committees. This is
Right.
just us.
Exactly.
13 agenda items.
The way I read this is it gives 3 working days for the town staff to receive our requested agenda and for them to post it. Am I reading that correctly? Because you have 7 working days prior for the board members to communicate to the town manager their agenda. The town manager will draft the agenda, and then it will be posted within 1 week in advance of the meeting.
Right, but by their working days, it's a 4-day work week. So it's 4 days, Tuesday through Friday, and then you have 3 days the next week. So I consider that to be,
4 working days.
Yeah. no, I'm saying that, you know, we have 7 days, working days to submit it. That gives us 2 weeks before the agenda. well, 4, Monday, Tuesday through Friday, and then Tuesday through Wednesday.
The town manager doesn't have a 4-day work week. Has a 5-day work week.
Well, that's just, yeah, that's right, the town manager. I was thinking about the clerk and staff. Do we just say 7 days?
No,
No, because that gives them no time.
no, it's got to stay working days.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think you either decide whether it's 4 or 5. Whether you're going to consider, because the town office is not open on Mondays, whether the town manager and anybody else is working that day.
Well, this addresses the town manager, so that's 7 days, 7 work days, even if it's Monday through Friday.
You're right, the town manager, so just leave it 5.
It's 7.
That's true.
What I'm trying to say is that.
I'll repeat
All
it.
right,
I might be a little slow, too.
It's got to be a week before.
It's
not-
okay.
Yeah.
Because
What I'm trying to say is, there's not much
Tuesday.
difference between 7 working days and 1 week.
So you want to take out the
What I'm
working
saying
days?
is, I'm saying, well, no, because
No, just leave
7
it.
days and 7, meaning we're giving it to them and we want it posted the same day. So what I'm saying is, like, it doesn't, 7 working days, so if I'm working backwards, we meet on Tuesdays. That means theoretically, if we're reading this the way it is, that means that the first draft is posted 1 week prior to our meeting. And if we're meeting the first Tuesday of every month, then that would be the 4th. We meet the second Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay, second Tuesday of every month, then we would want it posted the 1st. But then that means we need to be giving our agenda to the town manager 7 working days prior to the first Tuesday of every month.
Exactly. So 2 weeks. 7 days.
No, because it's 7 working days prior to any regular or special meeting.
Right. And then 7 days prior to that,
Right.
you have to give them the stuff.
Because, see, they have to post it 7 days, or supposed to post it 7 days. However, as we know, holidays mess that up. There's many things that enter into this, so it's not a clear-cut 7 days ever, to be fair. I mean, we have holidays that interrupt even the 4 days.
Right.
And so, to be reasonable, if we look at it at your perspective, from what you were just saying, the Tuesday before our regularly scheduled Select Board meeting, they should be.
Wish I had a calendar. Right, the days of the week so I could point.
Well, the thing of it is that we also want it goes on to say that the public should have 7 days' notice. So the town manager and the clerk should post it 7 days before our meeting, which means that we have to get it to them 7 days before that.
Yep.
Okay, then we need to state that, because we don't state that. We're saying, and I'll read this again, submitted by the board members to the town manager 7 working days prior to any regular or special meeting by 12 noon. Not,
Correct. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
You can-
Consult with the town clerk on this?
Yeah, I think she's
What
all for us getting it to her earlier than later.
well, what I'm
But she
saying,
was shaking her head, so I think she has a
Yeah, go ahead,
comment.
Mel.
No, I agree.
Well, the idea that we should have it a week before the week you have to have it, so you can put it in there with all the issues that the town manager's dealing with.
so it should be more like 14 working days prior to a special
No, 'cause
meeting.
The only 14 working days is like 2.5, 3 weeks.
10.
Yeah, that would put it Tuesday, 2 Tuesdays before the select board meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
That-
14 calendar days, not.
But that only,
Yeah.
still only gives you a week's time. Let's stop
Yeah.
talking about work
Yeah.
days, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still only, it gives you a week's time to then post the agenda,
Yeah.
which would be a week before the meeting.
I would love that.
Yeah, that's
Try
the
and
goal.
compile, and you want
That's,
to
so
compile
that's
a
what I'm,
packet.
even though that seems like it's very far,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's
And so
not.
what I'm trying to say is this is, the way this is written stacks us giving them the agenda and when they're supposed to post it,
And it's- that's
practically
right.
on the same day.
Right.
Right.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
Which is why I'd like to change it.
Well, when I talked to Mel, she said, I would love it if you could do it so that we have it a week ahead of time, so that they could get it out a week, because putting it out Friday, and sometime it happened, we're just talking about routinely.
Yeah.
You know, if someone's on vacation and then there's a holiday and So
Maybe we just say to the town manager 2 weeks prior to any regular or special.
I like
meeting.
that. That's simple.
I mean, I don't know.
I think that's
hate-
simple.
So that'll be the draft agenda.
It would be the draft. Now, of
Yeah.
course, I don't see any reason why you couldn't say, I need to add this, and you,
Yeah.
but you've got the meat.
You got
and
the- yeah.
Theoretically, you've got the meat and the potatoes,
Yeah. Now you want-
right?
But
And then if you need to add a side, you add a
And
side.
it does say, under normal circumstances, so I think that the 2 weeks before covers us. We'll change it to 2 weeks under normal circumstances. There's other things that are, come up that the town manager can know about, or one of us could know about for whatever reason. But mainly, the town manager is going to know what's going on in the town between staff. So,
I mean, we could even put in there like, should be attempted, or like, like we should try to give it
Right.
to them that early. But that's,
well, can you imagine how crazy that was? They had those bylaws and they have 2 meetings a month. Anyway, and even at the end, it says, first draft agenda will normally be posted a week in advance of the select board meeting.
Yeah.
So, and again, it's normally, because there's going to be circumstances, as we already know, this first 4 months. Okay, are we done with that one? Moving on. 14, any session of the board may be continued or adjourned. I don't think that's an issue. Every party shall have a right to present its case. Some things I underline, just ask questions, but anyone want to change anything there?
No.
No, me either. Participating on the vote. This is interesting. On the next page, page 6 of the 10,
Hearings?
no, I'm just going to let everyone go through and get caught up before you flip the page. I made a ton of notes, so. I'm the guy that asks 50 questions all the time. Some are foolish, but it says who refuses. This is all members in attendance and not qualified, talking about boards, as provided herein, shall vote in every matter to be voted upon unless excused by the chairman for good cause shown. Those in attendance in such circumstances who refuse to vote, like I abstained a couple times, who refuse to vote are regarded to have voted in the affirmatively. I didn't know that. I kind of like it, but I don't know what Robert Rule of Order says, but I like it here, because then you have to vote one way or the other, unless.
I'm not sure where you are.
Page
16.
6.
I don't have that.
fourth,
He's in 16.
fourth
second
paragraph.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
sorry. Thank
okay,
you.
thank
Thank you,
you.
Derek.
Thanks.
No,
I got it now. I got it now.
We're on phones.
Yeah, you've got it down. And so when I read that, I realized that was a very interesting unknown fact for me. And for this position, you will be considered to vote with a majority,
So is this stating you cannot abstain?
pretty much. Yep. Yes, indeed. You don't get a free ride when you're elected to the town of Raymond. It's interesting, though, because I know of at least 2 of us, if not 3, have abstained. At least 2.
Well, you can still abstain if
You
you have
can
a conflict of
you
interest,
can
but it's
still
saying
do
that
it.
you can't.
Right.
You can't abstain because you don't want to vote yes or no.
Right.
You got to just go by state law again.
Anyway, I thought it was interesting to point out, I'm moving on, Section 17, adjourned by 9 PM, when possible. I mean, we haven't gone by it for a while. Okay, we'll leave it. We may need it one night. 18. 19. And obviously, it says we can amend it by a majority of the vote, so once it's ready for print. A right of appeal? Minutes? Section 22, standing committees, special committees, Board of Liaisons.
I don't see anything that needs to be changed there.
What's that?
I don't think we need to change any of that.
It says that the chairman, number 4, the chairman of the board or a selectman designee is an ex-official member of all standing committees. I don't think we do that. I don't think we've done that for years. We don't have someone at every planning board meeting or everything else, and I don't know if it's necessary to have it. I told the finance committee, I realize that, I'm a non-voting member, but all you have to do is tell me you want me there, and I'll be there. You kind of have faith in your committees, but these are our bylaws, so
Isn't that really saying that you can participate in one of those committee meetings?
I think this is
Yeah.
fine as written, because that's all it is saying.
Yeah.
Basically, that you will be allowed to,
Yeah.
as a select board member, you will be allowed to participate in the meeting, you just
And
can't
you'll be
vote.
able to, allowed to speak. You won't be allowed to vote.
it says of all standing committees, though. Okay,
That's
if you guys don't have a
I think
problem, I
that's
move
fine.
right
It's
on.
all good.
23, comp,
Compensation.
is 100 too much? Anyway, public comment periods, number 24. That just says that we can't step down and have 2 shots. One is a select board member speaking, and as well as a member of the public.
Yeah, that's
So
fine.
I don't have a problem with that. Appointment protocol?
That's all good.
After, first step down. Well,
I do have a question about
yeah,
all
July.
appointed terms of board and committee members. Can we clarify, does that mean when you're elected on the select board that you start in the meeting that occurs after July 1st?
It's when we're supposed to.
Right? That's when you're supposed to
Yeah.
start, correct?
And it's, when I raised that issue, the June meeting, 2 years in a row, the standing select board members that either stepped down or were defeated didn't show up for the June meeting. So I
No,
don't,
because
I don't
the
have,
meeting's after. The vote's after the meeting usually.
after, no. We had the vote at, and then we had the select board meeting where we discussed it. And it was, I know that. And even the first year I was elected the 11th of June, and the next
think-
meeting was June.
I think it's close because it's not going to be, 11th can sometimes be before or after the meeting.
I know, but I think the reason this is there is to say that whatever business in that full budget year, July 1st to June 31st, is by the select board.
Mm-hmm.
And so after the vote of the public, the select board that's sitting in those shoes signs for the budget,
Yeah.
what we got voted through.
Right.
And so,
You're trying to change that?
no.
Oh,
I
well,
think-
Well, we're
I
just
think-
trying to reiterate the fact
Yeah.
that that you serve until
July 1st.
June 30th, and
Yeah.
any meetings that
Yeah.
occur in between an election and
Yeah.
June 30th, you are expected to still serve.
Yeah. And the elected people take over July 1st. I think we ought to, I mean, we can honor that.
That's how
because-
it happened with mine, so.
Yeah, well, I think that's what we'll do, and we'll just go moving forward. And it says members appointed to complete a vacated term shall serve from the date of appointment and sworn into the term expiration.
Right.
But we're actually saying till June. So.
That's
so-
when it expires, though. If somebody quits tomorrow, but it would only go until that next vote.
Until the term expires. The term is 3 years.
But not if
So-
it's, not if I quit tomorrow, my term is not 3 years. You don't get in, the appointed person only goes to the end of that.
No, I understand the last year of your term. I get that. I'm saying that if someone gets sick, terminally sick or anything else, and the member, steps down, We just had a long conversation about it's just until the June election. And yet this says is sworn in to the term expiration. Well, the term is 3 years. So Chris stepped down after 1 year. The term that he was elected for was 3. And we argued this all out and debated it.
But this is also select board. We don't have budget finance in
No.
front of us.
Okay, but if
Same
Chris got done, would it be done in June? According to this, it's when the term expires, and your term is 3 years. And I just think it should say until
The next
June,
one.
the next election.
His is.
I don't think it's out of line to say it until the next public election. Go ahead,
The
Mel.
only
What-
problem was when you do that, you have to change more than just that, because you have to if you're saying it's only gonna go, let me see if I get this straight. You're saying he quits tomorrow, and you, however you get somebody else in, the new person is gonna go to the end of his term, is what you want? But
That's how
you
we-
want it to only go until June, and then
Right.
have it
Then
revoted.
the
But-
election would be, then that person would only be elected for 2 years.
Exactly, that's what you have to write in here if you do that, because you can't,
Right.
you'll screw up all the
And I think that's
cycles.
fine. So we
No.
could,
The section is about appointed terms, not elected. You're still on reappointments, section 25-1?
yes.
So that's for like.
This is for our, this is for our
that's not-
chairs and stuff like that.
Not you guys.
It says
That's
all
for-
appointed terms of board,
Right.
which is us, and
Appointed.
committees.
No.
You're when you're
appointed.
chair, you're appointed chair, you're appointed
Appointed.
vice chair.
Oh,
Not your,
cool.
not your elected.
Okay,
Like planning
never
board,
mind. Thank you.
planning board and all of the other non-elected positions and boards and committees. Not
That's why we had that discussion last time about the,
Right.
Yeah.
about
Every,
the budget
every
finance.
June, you
I know, I
guys
think it was
appoint
I think our,
someone
it
to
was either
fill
that one
other
or planning
boards.
board.
Well, then I don't find anything in here if someone stepped down from the select board. One way or the other, I have used this as, is the next one down?
We're getting to that, we're just
Just
not there
getting to
yet.
it.
I thought that's where you skipped ahead to.
No, okay. All right, well, thank you. We don't need to change the thing as that's why we have staff here to educate us. Oh, yeah, that's where we started talking about the boards. Here, I think the only thing I talked about, and I think someone else said something along the same line, is we would just add G and say the only exception being if the Budget Committee vacancy occurred in the March, it'll remain vacant, because by the time you do the 90-day process, the June's there. The election's already there, and unless we say remains vacant, and maybe if a tie occurs, the Select Board Chair may cast the deciding vote if you had a problem with the 7 people. But, I mean, we just went through the whole thing.
We won't be able to have a tie on 7 anyway, so.
If one of them steps down, now you got 6.
Oh, on that vote,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
And so I say if it's March, by the time you do April, May, June, why even bother to have this conversation somewhere down the road if it's within that last quarter? I'll leave it up to staff to decide, but I think this would take care of it if we just added G and said the only exception to the above
90
is...
days prior to
Yes.
a regularly scheduled election?
Well, no, because that's an elected position as well.
Right, right. But if you go through the process that they laid out here, you're going to
This
get...
isn't for that, though. This is for planning board and, you have planning board and zoning board of appeals, those ones. Those aren't elected.
Okay, so where are they then? Where are the...
It's probably on the,
This is where I thought the board and
no, because they have their own. You guys, the budget finance has their own.
I think we should have something in here that applies to us.
Are you talking about us or are you talking about budget finance? Because right now you're
Both
talking about
elected-
budget finance.
Both elected groups should be...
Well, but it's different for
Right.
select board because we're not budget. You're talking with budget-specific
Right,
problem.
I was adding that
So
on
that
there.
needs to, but that's in the budget finance bylaws, not in the
That
select
should
board
go in their
bylaws.
bylaws, not ours. I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I like that better. But this is the one that outlines what
That's
we're
how it
gonna
is
do.
correct currently.
This explains all the details of how we'll handle it. It takes 90 days, and I thought that this might be appropriate to say, except Other than that, you gotta go through it. But
You
however,
can, what I'm saying is what you're trying to solve is a budget finance problem, so it should, that in there, they have the same thing we have.
okay, let me ask this question then, make it easier to move this forward. Where is it in this bylaw that says how they handle with one of us quits midterm?
So you're talking about us now instead of,
Yep.
but,
This is the only place I thought it applied, and I think Mel.
but
you
it will, but I don't
see
think
it.
the time frame matters on this one. We can just do it normal. It wouldn't be if somebody resigns in March.
No, I
it wouldn't
think
be that
now
big a
he's
deal.
just saying, do we address in this document anywhere how it will be handled if a select board member
Gets
resigns
sick.
prior to their resignation?
Yeah, gets sick or dies or anything, you know, I mean, we should have it clearly so the public knows how we're gonna handle it, rather than me calling you up and say, hey, let's put Joe in there, or Peter in there, or Ralph. You know, that, it doesn't say. So I'm all for it. But I had just assumed this applied to us, and when Mel looked at me and said it's coming up, you kind of said it's next, I think we all kind of assumed that applied to us.
I think this does.
I'm going back and looking at it.
It's number 2. You were talking about reappointment on number 1. Number 2 is this one.
After an announcement of resignation of board or committee
Prior,
member.
yeah, filling positions
Yeah.
vacated by resignation prior to the end of the term.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Right, well, it lays it all out.
Sorry, right there.
I guess I'm confused on what you're asking.
So this will be 90 days for Selectmen too?
It'll be, hold on. It says, it's all laid out already. This is, I mean, do you want me to read it, or?
No, I'm fine with this if this is the Select Board and we don't have to put the budget in there. But
This is
what,
select board budget has their own, yeah.
but this is what we use for the budget. This is what we end
What
up.
I'm saying is, if you have a budget specific one that needs to be changed, I would let budget finance
Okay.
change it, go to
Okay.
that meeting, bring it up and let them change it, because it doesn't apply to select board for that time frame, like a March time frame for us. So we don't need to address it. We already have ours addressed here. But I agree with that part of budget finance, but that needs to be budget finance specific, not.
And this actually says, after the announcement of resignation at the board or a committee meeting, formal accepting resignation. So we did use this process for the budget finance. That's all I'm trying to point out. Go ahead, Mel.
So, a vacancy in the select board is addressed in Title 30A state law. So it doesn't necessarily need to be in your
Wouldn't it
bylaws.
be easier if it was, though, so that we'd understand it?
Maybe we could just reference that.
Right.
Could we just reference that?
Oh, I like
Absolutely,
it.
absolutely. That's
Like,
easy.
can't we just say, have a little, 3, or put it at the top, that we would follow the,
Yeah.
Under
I like that.
under
That's
2B?
simple. and
I
it
think
makes
it's,
it-
hold on, I think it's there under,
because I haven't seen it, that doesn't mean that I missed it, but I don't think we define it in this document at all.
No, I don't either.
So I just think we should just say it, that it would be determined by, state statute.
I mean, it,
Well, let's do it anyway.
under
This
section,
simplifies it.
the top of page 2, I mean, it references a couple times the law, because, not that specific one, though. It just brings you to that full.
I just don't think there's any harm in listing it.
Yep.
and
Yeah, you list it
saying,
again.
Yeah.
We'll list it, well, that's a good place to put it because it talks about vacant
What is it, what's the number,
positions
Mel,
of
30 what?
resignation.
30A,
Yeah.
30A, section.
2635,
2602.
2602, okay.
Okay,
Yep.
that sounds, removal of members, anything?
No.
Complaints brought by the public. See, I told you we'd get right through this. So that, and we don't take a vote on it,
No. not
so
now.
that's done. The next thing would be the basic goals. The reason I asked for that to be put in is when the budget process starts, usually the select board has already decided what the goals will be for the budget process as well as what we're looking forward to. So, I mean, we don't have to get into it this particular night, but it is going to be coming up pretty quickly after the tax rate's set and the budget process starts. Plus, it kind of combines with what we think the vision is of the board, what moving forward. So, I mean, Kelly, you want to start with a little of that, and we've got 10 minutes.
Well, we also have C.
This was a lot to get through this policy, because there's a lot of changes we made. Chris, you want to go?
For goals,
Yeah.
I've already made known my wishes to join MMA and get some insurance quotes on automobile insurance, insurance for employees. That was one thing that I had on my list. I would like to, at some point, meet with our owners of the camps, like Wahilo, Tamanis, Kingsley Pine, and have some discussions, because, just to be brief, we've had some concerns about some of these camps selling off large parcels of land due to them having trouble paying their taxes. With the reval, I see that becoming a situation. So I would like to have some kind of a partnership with some of the with all the camp owners, to see how we can work mutually to keep that land in open space and not get developed by big real estate companies and that type of thing moving into town and taking advantage of these family businesses that have been around for decades, if not a century or more. So that's important to me. I want to look at how we can keep businesses here. I'm starting to see some businesses slip away from our town, and I want to try to address how we can keep them here and attract new business. And then finally, at some point, I would like to review the fire protection ordinance and the effects that has on local residents and business owners.
Great. I agree with 2 or 3 of those, as a matter of fact.
I like
Especially
the
camp.
last 2 for sure, last 3. The business one as well, I was thinking some rezoning or some reworking of that, especially up the 302 corridor, within a footage of maybe the center line, so that, you're already in that corridor of traffic and people and flowing. That way it doesn't mess with, residential, more rural parts of Raymond that we're trying to keep around the lakes and things like that. But on that main corridor, be able to have some more spots for businesses, to come in and thrive and generate more revenue for the town. And then, like we had with the Tasseltop Day the other weekend or so, that was a lot of fun. A great community event. Lots of families were there, kids were there, parents were there. Everyone got to get along. So to kind of use our amenities that we have in the town for the town people at little to no expense to them was a fun way to use those and continue that and maybe grow that. That was a good.
I agree with 90% of what both of you said. You want to go, or you want me to go?
We just did one of mine today, pretty much. I'd like to review the personnel policy. I think the vacation section really confuses me. I just think it needs another pass. I would like to make sure that we're moving forward with our Jordan Small Middle School Building Committee and the Comp Plan Committee. Just want to make sure that those things are actually going forward when we're keeping our pulse on it.
Those are all things I would have added to the
Yep.
list, but I wanted to keep it short.
Yeah, and I'll actually take and add, the only thing I would add to, and I liked a lot of things that both of you said, especially the camps. I've talked to 3 of the owners and one of the trustees at Tamanis. A lot of the camps have now gone nonprofit, and that takes them out of the loop, and we lose taxes on it. And I'd rather the character of this town started with the ruralness, the girls' camps, the boys' camps, and all the other stuff, so I'm really high on that. And I really think that the comp plan was, I think, masterful, and the open space, and we're going to have an opportunity, the town manager and I have talked about it with the Capo property. I've known the family and worked with them since public safety building, so if we could have one diamond in the rough and leave the open space and still turn it into recreational use, that's, I mean, I just love what we've done in the
That's
past.
just one example. There are
That's right.
several
Yeah,
other
we have tassel talk
opportunities.
too already.
Well, there's other opportunities that I've been talking with some people, and Joe's well aware of, that there are other opportunities out there, not just the carpool. I'm not taking away from
Yeah,
that.
no.
I'm just saying there's a lot of opportunity for this town to work with people to acquire open space right at this time.
And the last thing I'll say is more public in town, public and private joint ventures, so that you get more buy-in. Those are the three big things, but actually, each one of you, all three of you actually hit some of the things. So I think that's important to
Yeah.
say, but it's,
They may be big goals, but we can start working on them.
exactly.
They may not get done this year.
And I think it's important for people to hear what
They're
we're
never get
thinking.
done if we don't start them. So
Yeah,
That's exactly right, Derek.
We can't,
So-
we can down the road.
The other thing we had is the outline of schedule and future use. And I think we're going to have to put that off to another meeting. And I'll try to just put it, we'll just do it on the agenda rather than a 5 o'clock meeting, because it's going to be important to speak, I think, publicly on how we want to move forward with it. You know, I think
You gotta hand-
Grace mentioned that a lot of the Jordan Small School could be utilized immediately without spending a lot of money, because we already have to absorb all the utilities and expenses. So I'd like that, and I think that's one thing to say.
I would really like it if maybe, Joe, you could work on creating sort of like what you think would be best, like how many members should be on this committee, how should, who should we try to find? I think if you could do some research on that and come back
For
with
Jordan
us
Small.
with your thoughts and ideas on how we would form this committee and move forward.
That's to clarify the JSMS
Yes.
building committee, okay.
Let me
Yes.
add a little bit to that. I think I said something to Chris about this, and that is, I really would love to see, if possible, our standing committees, planning board, someone from this board, but all the boards we have, if you could put them involved with the Jordan Smalls, we would be able to at least know what we would have to do in order to utilize it, whether it be a sprinkler or whatever it happens to be. But if we could have board members that are already standing committees, budget committee, it would just add to, and of course, comp committee, I think it'd add a lot more flow to the process, that's all. And I actually had that for a note too, but I'm just kind of.
And then maybe come up with like a timeline, because there's going to be cost associated with this. So it'd be really nice to know when those might occur and what we might be looking at.
Well, that's why I put schedule on there, but, yeah, and I think that it's still on everyone's mind. 27's going to be here before you know it. I mean, I don't know what happened to
Absolutely right.
I don't know what happened to 24, 25 yet. I mean, we're flying through it. So, is there any last comments, or? There is an opportunity for clarification for the public, like I mentioned in the bylaws, if anyone has anything that wants to question or have clarification. And if not, Peter, you?
Yeah, very quickly.
Mel.
2 Levitt Road, so this will be very quick, as I just made some notes to your comments. Number one, flexibility of agenda as far as the posting is concerned. Understand that the agenda, the board can add an agenda item at the beginning of any meeting. So you can vote that in. So as far as feeling you're really under the gun of getting everything on the agenda, because obviously you can't discuss anything at the meeting that's not on the agenda. But certainly if something comes up from the town manager, something comes up from the town clerk, or one of the other board members, you have that flexibility. So I would say don't kill yourself trying to get that agenda absolutely perfect. There's room for it. If you really went to Roberts, what Roberts says is that every meeting that has an agenda, it's basically not an agenda until you vote it as the agenda, as the first action of business at the beginning of the meeting. So that's kind of gives you the wiggle room to do that. You can also vote at any point in time, and I've seen the planning board do this, to extend the meeting beyond the time frame in your bylaws. You can just say, take a vote, we'll go another half hour, an hour, and you can do that. I don't know this for sure, but I believe one of the distinctions you're looking for between emergency and special town meetings is the notice. So that would be the thing. My understanding is that the special town meeting is basically bound by the same notice as a regular meeting. However, an emergency meeting, they give you more flexibility in what you have to get posted. As far as the chair can't enter into debate on any agenda item without first transferring the chairmanship to the vice chair or another board member. Then the chair can enter into the debate on an agenda item. That doesn't mean the chair can't speak to it. Matter of fact, I believe your bylaws say that the chair has the right to speak first and last. But as far as entering into the debate, which I saw in past boards happened all the time, that's not acceptable. You need to be, because the chair has a certain amount of influence. And so speaking as the chair in the debate on an item, it tends to not be fair. And I guess just lastly, I'm not sure about this. Does the Budget Finance Committee have bylaws?
Hell, yeah. Well, ordinance.
They have an ordinance. And I believe last year when I was attending a Budget Finance Committee meeting, there was that discussion, and I made that recommendation that they actually have a formal set of bylaws. I don't know that the ordinance that I believe originally, Dennis, you kind of uncovered and got everybody to review, and that's great. And it spelled out certain things. I don't think it's actually, I don't think it addressed a number of issues that bylaws would. So that might be something just to see as far as if there's, if I look on the website, I can find bylaws for the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I know that because I wrote the original bylaws for the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I know that the Select Board has bylaws, but I don't find anything on the website, and I may just not be finding it, that actually says bylaws for budget finance.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but when lacking bylaws, aren't the Robert's Rule of Order what you go by? The general directions and agenda?
Well, there's an ordinance that goes through all that for budget finance.
But it isn't, the ordinance doesn't really lay out the bylaws, as Peter said, I don't think. But I think it's been used very well.
It speaks quite a bit to your stuff, and then it does refer back
Yep.
on right now. It refers back to the state law and the state on quite a few, just like ours does. It's just like it's honestly not too far off from our bylaws, just a lot smaller.
What I learned on the comprehensive plan was when we were being asked about whether or not we had to abide by Robert's rules, and what I found out in researching it was basically the comprehensive plan did not have bylaws. The committee did not have bylaws of their own. And so therefore, any committee appointed by the Select Board that does not have their own bylaws is bound by the Select Board's bylaws. So, and the Select Board said Robert's rules, so that's what we did.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Seeing no one else, we can adjourn this.
Motion to adjourn the workshop?
Second.
All in favor? So adjourn.